They fell seeking freedom in vain. That is the inscription of the plaque commemorating the death of about 118 Azerbaijani soldiers killed by Nazi fascist forces in Monte di Nese in the north of Italy in April 1945, just weeks before fascism inevitably met its own end. The massacre of Monte di Nese, as it's now known, was the most severe instance of violence during the Second World War here in the Bergamo area, second only to the bombing of the Dalmine factory in 1944. To this day, Italian sources say that the massacre has not received the attention it deserves, and many questions were left unanswered. Researcher and author Andrea Piocelli made it his mission to set the record straight. Gathering testimonies and sifting through archives, he put out a book on the events of April 1945.
So,
the local people referred to them, both in oral testimonies and in written records of the Italian resistance, as Mongolians. This was because some of them, though not all, likely came from Central Asia, from the Soviet republics located there. So, they were called Mongols, or people believed to have come from Mongolia. The locals did not know exactly where these men came from. It's possible this was simply a general assumption, but we cannot say for certain why the term Mongols was used.
Originally captured Soviet soldiers that defected to the Germans, the Azerbaijanis killed in Monte di Nese deserted the SS division they were a part of. In 1945, several thousand of their countrymen were part of the East Turkic SS division that was sent to Bergamo to fight the partisans. Unwilling to obey, many of them left for neutral Switzerland, while some tried to join the partisans. The Monte di Nese group disobeyed the German command to head towards the front and decided to desert, working with a group of partisans from the Bergamo resistance. They reached the village late at night on April 12th, after a day of marching, with the Nazi fascists and other former Soviet soldiers still under German command on their trail.
There were partisan guides, but these guides did not have clear orders. The Azerbaijanis themselves likely had internal disagreements. As a result, several hundred men waited the entire day on top of Canto Alto. Only in the evening did they descend from Canto Alto toward Monte di Nese, toward the village. They camped in the surrounding meadows, farmhouses and rural cottages, the Cascine that you've seen. By then, however, it's clear that their presence had already been reported to the German and fascist commands. On the morning of April 13th, German and fascist troops were dispatched to block the Azerbaijanis' route. At dawn, though we don't know exactly why it happened at that moment, there is a very specific testimony from the village priest. He recalled that as he rang the church bells at 6 in the morning, the first shots were fired by the German and fascist troops who had arrived from Bergamo. The Azerbaijanis were caught by surprise for the most part. What began as a battle quickly turned into a manhunt by the fascists and Germans through the fields, farmhouses and hills surrounding the village.
With some 45 dead in the fierce firefight, more than 70 were captured and shot without mercy. The bodies were stripped of personal effects and any means of identification. They were abandoned and buried in mass graves days later. It took 5 years for their remains to be united and buried at the cemetery of Monte di Nese. The Bergamo province, as most of Italy, is adorned with monuments reminding everyone of the dark times and victims, but also the fight and courage that brought about the fall of fascism. Each year, all across Italy, commemoration services are held for those fallen in the fight against fascism. Among those, a service for the Azerbaijani soldiers of Monte di Nese. From Bergamo for AnewZ, AnewZ.